making Bolo di Pistacho from De Complete Antilliaanse Keuken by Jurino Ignacio. I got this book on a trip to Curaçao thanks to a very helpful taxi driver that was willing to come in to the local bookstore and help me look through Dutch language books. This book has several really cool desserts and cakes that seem quite unique to me. This one is a pistachio layer cake with a very moist butter sponge mixed with ground pistachios, and then another hit of pistachio with a whipped cream that's then mixed with pistachio flavored instant pudding. It gives the pudding actually is what gives it its distinct color. There's no food coloring in this. I had to use Google Lens to translate the recipes in this book as I don't speak Dutch, but if you don't mind doing that, I kind of recommend picking this one up because there's a lot of really cool desserts in here, and I'm pretty sure I'll make some more videos on this in the future. There's a lot of other recipes too. That taxi driver really made sure that it had all of the local Antillian recipes like quichena, like jambo, like a bunch of other things like that. So if you want the local food of those islands, it also has that, but I think you'll want to pick it up just for the desserts because there's so many cool and unique ones. So, with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and hop into the kitchen and show you how to make this one. I'm going to begin this recipe by mixing the dry ingredients. So we've got 300 grams of all-purpose flour, and we're going to add 16 grams of baking powder and a pinch of salt. And now we're just going to mix this together and then set this aside while we make the wet part of the ingredients. In the bowl of a stand mixer with the paddle attachment, we've got 2 sticks of butter plus 3 tablespoons softened. And to that, we're going to add 250 grams of sugar. And then we're just going to beat that until it becomes nice and fluffy. I've got 5 eggs now, and we're going to crack these one at a time and add these to the batter. And then we're going to incorporate each egg before we add the next egg. Switching over to the whisk attachment, we're now going to add a little bit at a time the dry ingredients and get those incorporated here as well. You should have a wonderfully smooth butter cake sponge. And now we've got 100 grams of pistachio nuts that I've just put up in a grinder. And we're going to put those in. And just with a spatula, we're just going to fold those in throughout the dough. I've got a 9-inch cake pan that I've gone ahead and greased and floured and preheated the oven to 340 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a pretty dense cake batter, so you definitely want to take your spatula and smooth it out a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and take this and put it in the oven for 40 to 50 minutes at 340 degrees Fahrenheit. I've just taken the cake out of the oven. It looks beautiful, so we're going to let this go ahead and cool all the way back to room temperature before we do anything else with it. It's time to make the frosting, and so we're going to take 200 milliliters of heavy cream, which is just over 3/4 of a cup in America units. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar to that. And then we're just going to whip it in our stand mixer on high until we get a stiff peaked whipped cream. The whipped cream is done, and now we've got a package of pistachio flavored instant pudding. And we're going to put that in a side bowl here. And then we're going to combine that with 150 milliliters, which is just over half a cup of whole milk. And we're going to combine that together. Now we're just going to add the pistachio pudding mixture to the whipped cream. And this is really going to thicken it up and give us more of like a buttercream texture to this frosting as opposed to just a straight whipped cream. Now, don't whip this too quickly because we don't want it to break or become with too much air in it because it'll cause it to not pipe smoothly. So start slow and just work your way up here to get the consistency of frosting that you want. I've cut the cake into 3 layers, and now we're just going to go ahead and do this like a standard cake where we're going to add some frosting to each layer and then stack the next layer on top of it and then frost the sides as well.
The cake is nice and frosted. I just used a bench scraper to get it semi-straight along the sides. Like I said, I'm not a professional baker. I'm just some guy following recipes from a cookbook. So now I've got the remainder of the frosting in a piping bag, and we're just going to decorate the top here by making some wonderful little rosettes. And we're just going to go all the way around the perimeter making roses. I've finished garnishing with the frosting, and obviously if you've got better skills than I do, you can decorate this in any way that you see fit. This is just something that was within my skill range, and the way I decided to go with it here. So now the final step is going to be adding alternating red and green candied cherries. And obviously, you don't have to do this. This is totally optional, but it does give it a nice little accent along the top. So I'm going to go ahead and put these around, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. And there we go. Here is our completed cake. The candied cherries are not strictly necessary, although Jurino Ignacio does include them in the recipe and in the pictures of the cake on his socials and his cookbooks. So I did include them for completeness sake and to just accurately follow the recipe. But if you want to leave them out, this is a perfectly good layer cake without them. So I really encourage you. I actually think the cherries give it sort of this wonderful old school charm to the cake, while also being, honestly, a very new school dessert. If you like pistachio and you like rich, super dense, moist cake together, this is the cake for you. I really encourage you to try this out. This one's been on my list to show you guys for quite some time. So check this one out. I've also got another one of his recipes in a video for blue curacao cupcakes, so you may want to check that out as well. And if you enjoy my videos in general, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one.